Girl, I'd spend hours just dreaming that someday I would go to strange, faraway places.
Miss Amelia Earhart.
Why do you want to fly?
I want to be free.
Amelia.
Is that related to ameliorate, which would have been a nice thing I could use to Band-Aid to help me get over the 2 hours I spent watching this film?
What does that even mean, ameliorate?
I think it means to heal or something.
I think somebody got a word of the day calendar and has been trying to justify the $8.99 he paid for it.
Yeah, but I hung it upside down by accident. I'm too lazy to turn it back up.
The rearing of that prehistoric beast, the thesaurus. All right, so Amelia is about the only famous Amelia other than Amelia Bedelia is Amelia Earhart.
Yes, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic.
Woohoo!
Yes, and the first woman to fly passenger across the Atlantic, too, which was one of those moments in this film you're like, wait, why is everyone excited? She just flew coach.
Because she was a woman, and we used to pat them on the head like that back in the day.
The good old days.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, in this case, we have Hilary Swank playing yet another unattractive female. I was joking with Leon earlier, going, man, you're just going down this role of ladies that are less and less attractive in real life. Why don't you just play Terry Schiavo next?
Well, she did at the end of $1 Million Baby.
That's true.
Yeah,
But the funny thing is, it's like, okay, sure, Hilary Swank uglies down to play Amelia Earhart. And at the end, when they show pictures of the real Amelia Earhart, it's just like, ow!
Yeah,
Hilary Swank didn't have on enough makeup.
Special effects have not come far enough to do what would have been required.
You know, the thing about Hilary Swank in this role, though, is you watch this movie and you're like, Jesus Christ, woman, how many Oscars do you need?
Yeah, that's true.
Because you know what? We can joke all we want. She's phenomenal in this film. She keeps taking these roles that are complicated and requires her to completely change her speaking style, you know, just the cadence of her speech. Just she immerses herself in the role, and she becomes Amelia Earhart. If you've ever seen the old footage, the first opening scene with Hilary Swank, it's like, oh, hey, it's Hilary Swank with short hair, and she opens her mouth, and then you completely forget it's her and just totally buy her as Earhart.
And I'll hand it to you that she did a spot-on impression of Amelia Earhart. However, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's her fault in the film, because it's certainly at no point does she seem like a bad actress, but she doesn't seem like they give her that much of a stretch of stuff to do either.
Well, that's the problem with Amelia Earhart. I mean, the thing is and you really notice it in this biopic.
Is you sure? Like, is it biopic and not biopic?
It could be biopic. It's one of the two.
I never
really
know.
don't know. Point is,
I
it's
feel,
a movie. It's not a real person.
I feel ameliorated personally.
No, please continue, Carl.
No, the thing about Amelia Earhart is she was a great adventurer who was actually a really good person and didn't have any dirt. She didn't do drugs. She wasn't a drunk. She didn't abandon her kids. There's no drama for her to have. They have to sex up the one interesting thing that happens in her life, where she gets married and, you know, tells her husband, hey, dude, you know, I really want to be free. I really kind of want to be open. You just have to know you're getting into that with me. He's like, I'll go anywhere with you. It's all good. And then she kind of has a wholesome, loving relationship, of an affair with somebody else. And that's the big drama of the movie. And it's not sexy. It's not like it's not seedy. It's just things that happen in life. And you get to this point where you're like, wow, Amelia Earhart, for as adventurous and cool as she was, really had nothing else going on that warranted a film.
No, I mean, it feels like a History Channel production in a lot of ways, and films we've seen in the past like that, where it's just kind of going through the motions of her life to the point that they're using newsprint through large portions of the film to advance the story. Oh, by the way, she did this.
Yeah, I was really not happy about them doing that, just because it's such an old, worn-out technique that, you know, we've reached a point where we're kind of past that.
I have to kind of disagree with you guys there, because while it is an old, worn-out technique, it was that era that it fit in. That's where this generated. Those films in that era were the ones that used the newsprint and used it in the same style they used here.
Well, that's not completely true, because what they do a lot of times is they'll slip into newsreel.
Right.
You know, they do faux newsreel footage that looks great, and then they'll blend that into, you know, what's supposed to be happening right then and there, color. And I thought that was brilliant. I love the way they did that. And it's like, wow, finally. But they're like, you know, oh, just flash up headlines. I've seen that in so many cheaper biopics that I'm just kind of like, man, really, this is how we have to, tell everybody these things. But you guys have kind of hit it in that Amelia Earhart's story, other than her being the first to do these things and her famous disappearance act, not that interesting. So what you get is some top-notch actors, certainly Hilary Swank, Ewan McGregor, and Richard Gere, and yet none of them really do anything all that interesting, especially the men. They're just kind of set pieces.
Well, yeah, Ewan McGregor is just a pretty face in this film, pretty much. And to go, look, it's Gore Vidal, his son.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, my God. They hit you over the head with that every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, come here, little Gore Vidal.
The thing that really hits me, though, is I guess the real problem with this film is we consider what Amelia did to be truly adventurous, because it was.
Sure.
At the time, what they really don't spend a lot of time covering is this is the dawn of aviation, to the point to where nobody could trust their machinery. I mean,
Right.
these were contraptions. People were not convinced that they were safe. And so Amelia Earhart really was doing something incredible, but it's impossible to make that sexy. She wasn't in dogfights. There were no bombs on the plane.
Yeah, they almost fell out of a plane at one point.
Yeah,
She was flying coach.
Because nobody locked the door.
Nobody locked the door.
Write this down. From now on, we lock the doors when we get in
That was
airplanes.
the beginning of when they started making the stewardess come around with the safety thing. So blame Amelia Earhart for having to sit there for that 5 minutes and figure out how to put the mask on your kid's head first.
Well, I think what you bring up about how dangerous planes were, I think they could have spent more time on that. I mean, I think about a movie like, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but The Great Waldo Pepper, with all the guys who did all the the stunt flying. But so much of that movie was about how dangerous, what dangerous contraptions those planes were. It to me, that it brought that across. And here they smooth it out so easy because they want to show more of her and her life and the love triangle, to where it's a History Channel film, but it's also a Lifetime movie at the same time.
Yeah, and that's really its failure, because it seems more interested in being a Lifetime movie. The director, Mira Nair, I believe is her name, who directed Monsoon Wedding and Vanity Fair and The Namesake. I feel like she was much more interested in that story, and there was no substance there. I mean, maybe it was because, like, on some level, come on, we know Amelia Earhart wasn't really all that into men, and they even insinuate at one point.
Do we know that?
Maybe her attention extended. No, I mean, it's been insinuated. Let's just say that.
Right, it's been insinuated, but at the same time,
we don't know that, but it feels like maybe that's what Hilary Swank was trying to play, because I never for a second bought any chemistry between her and either one of the male leads here, which is kind of necessary if you're focusing your film that heavily on a romantic aspect.
I've got to disagree on the Lifetime channel comparison, because Lifetime is one of those channels that likes to sex up things in a big way, and I think the problem with this film is it's not sexed up. I mean, they try to elevate that love triangle, but the love triangle is always kind of in the background, and it comes to a head in such a blasé way. It's just kind of like, you know what, I really love this guy, and I really need to go with him. Okay, and everybody goes, okay, that's okay, we'll go with it. So
well, then maybe the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. See, that is more in line. This felt more like a big budget Hallmark movie.
I mean, I hand it to Amelia Earhart. She's one of the greatest adventurers ever. She had just incredible amount of guts, and she did stuff that you probably have to consider plain stupid, but nonetheless, she did them and succeeded, all but her last thing.
That kid had a lot of moxie.
She had a lot of moxie.
The closest land west of Hawaii is beyond the range of the Electra.
She'll refuel in the air.
She doesn't have the flying skills.
She's taking bigger risks.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Don't be so proud of it.
I understand the danger, fellas. I've studied the route. What have you come up with?
This is Howland Island. It's halfway between Honolulu and New Guinea. There's no elevation, no trees. Hardly anyone knows or cares that it exists.
It would be almost impossible to spot from the air.
It's really tiny, like a grain of sand in 1,000 miles of nowhere. If you miss this island, you're out of fuel with 2,000 miles to go.
But I'll have Fred Noonan, the best celestial navigator around.
In fact, she's taking Fred along for the whole trip.
Giving up my little arrogance about solo. Safety first, yes?
You got to hand it to her, but there was I never bought the sense of danger that should have gone along with that. We could fictionalize it and have her being attacked by Yetis, or have her land on same place where Oceanic Flight 815 crashed or something. Something. I mean, have the Bermuda Triangle follow her around in a grudge match. I don't know, but this is just dull throughout almost the entirety of the film.
I would say it was just short of dull. I never really felt like I was going to doze off, but at the same time, it just nothing raised my temperature. I was happy to see Christopher Eccleston.
Oh yeah, Doctor Who.
Yeah, because man, we have so many Brits and Australians, playing American roles and doing that accent flawlessly. And it was so awesome to see a Brit who could not do a good American accent.
No.
He couldn't have held that shit.
I don't know where he was supposed to be from.
Well, he started out from the deep south. I was like, damn it, he's doing it too. But every time they cut back to him, like, no, that whole brogue he's got just was there all the time.
Yeah, no, he had a hard time covering that up. It was weird. I looked on the credits. Virginia Madsen was listed as being the original wife of Richard Gere's character, but I never saw her in this film.
She's probably edited out.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
I like Virginia Madsen.
As soon as they show him, he's already single.
Yeah, she got a check, and nobody has to complain about her being in another mediocre movie.
I mean, I would assume that on some point the original idea was
really? Are we going to complain that she got work?
The original idea was to reflect on maybe Richard Gere had being cheated on coming to him. Would be my assumption.
Well, as bland as it felt, at least to me, it's still a 2-hour movie. So it could have been the more interesting parts made it too long.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it was right around 2 hours, just under 2 hours, I believe. I wish I could have liked this better because I honestly like most of Hilary Swank's movies a lot, and I really admire her as an actress. Richard Gere is very hit and miss with me, but when he hits, he really hits. And I really admire Amelia Earhart, always have, but I can't give this anything more than a rental. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that. I feel like bad about myself, like I'm going to be judged by some large women's group.
Well, Carl will probably judge you.
Well, that's true. I can see him sitting.
Don't you judge me? Don't judge me. I'm pretty much with you. I don't know where to go on this. I'm straddling the line. I think tomorrow I'll think rental. Tonight I'm thinking matinee. It's really one of those things. The performances really stand out for me. I love Hilary Swank. I've always loved her, and she is fantastic here. She's done another incredible job. She's going to be nominated. Not saying she's going to win, but she's going to be nominated for this, absolutely. But this is that film we get every fall that seems to be striving for Oscars and misses the mark entirely. This is not going to be nominated for all the Oscars it's hoping for. It is not the biopic that people want it to be. But when we make a movie about a famous celebrity, we go down a checklist. Did you do drugs? No. Did you cheat on your husband? Yeah. Okay. Well, did you leave your kids? No. Were you drunk? No. Why should we make a movie about you?
Yeah.
I mean, did you see Walk the Line? Did you see Ray? We need a point to end the film. But I died in a plane crash. Oh, I see that. That's cool. But nobody knows how you died in a plane crash. Did you have to eat your crew? No. Shit. Jesus. Yeah. I mean, what kind of movie are you going to make here? So this is literally one of those movies that it really aspires to greatness, and it has no greatness to offer except in performances. And unless you go to movies strictly for performances, there's no reason to see this in a theater. This is a rental.
Wow. Okay. Well, I almost don't even feel like giving my rating because I'm right there with you guys for all the reasons you just named. I mean, yeah, as great as Hilary Swank's performance is, I was probably more riveted by
who?
Cut.
Richard Gere?
No, not Richard Gere. God
Christopher
damn it.
Eccleston?
No.
Ewan McGregor? There was hardly anyone in this fucking movie.
That was all there was. There was no one else in the film.
Sorry, I remember it now.
Yeah.
I was more riveted by Amy Adams in Night of the Museum, too.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, she played a fun Amelia Earhart that was, who looked pretty good in riding pants.
Yeah, she had a cadence to her patois.
Yeah, but she was kind of doing the same thing, that whole, impression, and it worked, even though it was funny.
Hold on. You really need to get rid of that word a day, Calvin. Please continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll dumb it down for you next time, Carla.
You're just trying to get all $8.99 out of that fucking thing.
He's got a big Scrabble tournament coming up.
I'll make it. I know I will.
I'll go tell the world you're on your way.